cause for Iranian democracy is a cause that we all share. We share it because it is not only within the fabric of our moral society, but we share it because it is the right thing to do to provide the safety and security not only of the United States, but also of the community of nations that are threatened by Iran's nuclear program as well as its terrorist designs around the world. One need not travel very far to understand the enormous implications of Iran with a nuclear weapon, of Iran as a state sponsor of terror, of Iran destabilizing our allies around the world, of Iran supporting the proxies of Hezbollah and Hamas and terrorist organizations inside Iraq that probably committed the atrocity that resulted in the mortar attack on February 9th against the inhabitants of Camp Liberty. I had thought, after the delisting decision by the United States government that was way long overdue by my Democratic colleagues in this administration, that everything would be okay, that the people of Camp Liberty, having cooperated completely with their relocation from Camp Ashraf, would be provided the safety and security under the flag of the United Nations, repatriated to a third country, provided refugee status, and until such time they would have been able at least to have had safety, if not the security, of what essentially is a squalid condition in which they live. I was wrong. Those people did not have the safety and security that they had been promised to by a successive number of governments, by the United Nations representative in Iraq, Mr. Kobler, by the Iraqi Prime Minister, by the United Nations, and by the United States government. I am deeply disappointed. I am deeply disappointed by the failure of all of these parties to live up to their commitments to these people. When a mortar attack, under the very connivance of the Iraqi government, because there could be no doubt that these Shiite militias that are operating with the connivance of the Iraqi government, result in the deaths of members of the camp, wounding over 100. And the best that Martin Kobler, a United Nations Special Representative, can find some ways to finesse the fact that this was somehow unexpected and uncalled for, and that's all he can do. I have a message to the United Nations and to Mr. Kobler. If you cannot do your job, then get out of the way. As a former diplomat, I would be embarrassed of the record that he has so far demonstrated in providing the safety and security under the United Nations flag to these people who have earned the right and trust of us and the American people in the United Nations. The mission of all of us here today is to do not only to learn what we must learn about the issues confronting the United States and Iran, but to send a clear message to Washington and to New York's United Nations headquarters. We Americans have stood by the side of these people while they have been forcibly relocated from Camp Ashraf to Camp Liberty in conditions that are patently unacceptable. It reminded me of the stories that I had heard from my Jewish forefathers who were forcibly evicted and removed from their homes in Nazi Germany. I cannot put myself in the shoes of these people. I can only understand the plight that they face every day, going to bed at night wondering whether they will face even more severe attacks. They are not enemies of anyone other than a regime that we are an enemy of as well. The Iranian regime is determined to oppress, repress, and ultimately destroy the people of those camps. We cannot let that happen. A few weeks ago, a bipartisan congressional delegation traveled to Paris to meet with Ms. Mariam Ranjavi. This bipartisan delegation met with her and issued a very important message to the Congress and to the people of the United States. And their message was the following. Number one, it's important to revisit United States relations with Iran in the wake of the repeated failure of the Supreme Leader and his government to accept the entreaties of the United States to engage in bilateral negotiations over an undisguised nuclear weapons program. Number two, it's important for the President and his administration to reach out to the democratic opposition in Iran, which we failed to do several years ago, so let's not commit the same mistake and not do that now. Number three, we must do everything possible to ensure the full protection of the inhabitants of Camp Liberty. I almost hate to use the word Camp Liberty. I find it to be such an oxymoron. It is not Camp Liberty. It's a captive camp that deserves to be emptied by the United Nations as quickly as possible so these people can leave that camp behind. It's understandable, and I empathize with those inhabitants who say, we want to return to Camp Ashraf. After all, that was the one place that they had some degree of safety and security. The conduct of the United Nations Special Representative, now I'm quoting the bipartisan committee of Congress that went to Paris, the conduct of Martin Kobler, Ambassador Kobler, is testament to the failure of the United Nations to fulfill its moral obligation and legal obligation to the people of Camp Liberty and to the United States government. And that is essential. It is essential for the United Nations to do everything possible to ensure the safety and security of those people, and that they should be declared immediately political refugees by the United Nations.